Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chenard. I'm here with Glen Willis and Tyler Jones. We're recording in the aftermath of the Hawks' loss down in Orlando. And well, they played a basketball game. Any
That
initial impressions?
um I mean, on the positive side, Mo Gay was pretty great. Um that was very impressive what he did defensively pretty much the entire game. And he I thought he gave the Hawks a chance to win. Um Combined with, Trey Young in that third quarter kind of putting his stamp on things. But I think overall there the micro stuff about Quinn's rotations aside, I think the bigger issue is kind of the same of what it's always been in the Trey Young era, is that there's nobody other than Trey Young that can generate good offense for his team if it's in the half court at least. If they can get out in fast break, they're good. But without Jalen Johnson and relying on guys like Niang and not really ultimately only having two real bigs in Mo Gay and Onyeka Okongwu and asking them to play 48 minutes when you haven't asked Mo to play more than 25 minutes, I don't think this entire season. It's just a tough sell that, it was going to be an uphill battle with the Magic. I still think they might have had a good chance to win if Quinn optimized his lineups a certain way, but like the talent, like the physical talent gap was the issue, where the game basically came down to um, nobody other than Onyeka Okongwu or Mo Gay being able to keep any of Orlando's big men off the glass. So if either one or both were up the floor, the Hawks weren't going to get the defensive rebound. Like, and it didn't matter what crap offense the Magic were running because they were going to get an easy second chance putback because the Hawks just don't have the size right now on the defensive end. And so because they can't finish possession with rebounds to get out on the fast break, it kills what they do best offensively, which is transition offense. They're not doing that. They're relying entirely on Trey Young to generate anything good. And Trey can only do so much in one game. Like he's not going to be able to sustain elite play for a full 40 for his full stretch of 40 plus minutes. So that's where I am right now.
They kind of switched things up, right? Like it seems like in previous games with the Magic, they would put on I'm sorry, a Kongwu on Boncaro. And in this game, they did it with Mo Gay instead, and Mo, did a really good job on those one-on-one situations.
Yeah, I mean Mo defensively, he's been consistently good all year. He was good in G League. I thought he was good in Summer League, which was a market improvement from where he was his rookie year. But like I want to say honestly, this started when Quinn finally let him play center a little bit in the Knicks blowout, where I thought he was playing really good defense for that stretch, even though the game was over. Like he was playing some really good defense. Since then he's been like otherworldly, and like I'm having different opinions of Mo Gay type of player Mo Gay can be in this league based on what he's showing me on the defensive side of the floor. So that's something that's a positive.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the downside is
Why? Okay, so but why did they switch it up? Like they were those for, I don't know, go back 3 episodes, and I was like, why is Mo Gay not the backup center? And then he was the backup center for like the last 2 weeks of the season. Throw away game 82 because that was just an aberration because they just wanted to play as few people as possible. But like in the last 2 weeks before game 82, they were like, okay, we're going to shave down the rotation. Mo, you're going to start at power forward. Mo, you're going to be the backup center. We'll shave the minutes to get you down to 28, but you're going to do both of these roles. And then they get to the playing game and they switched it.
I think the plan was for Mo to be the backup center, but what happened was that he was so good guarding Paolo that he had to have extended run at the power forward position. And I think Quinn didn't want to play him more than 30 minutes. Like I think that's where it boiled down more than like foul trouble or anything like that. I ultimately think like Quinn was like, I can't play this guy who I have not trusted all season to play 30 minutes, to play 30 minutes in a game. And to me, I feel like uh, last night's rotations and how poorly they were a reflection and were a consequence of Quinn not trying to extend Mo's minutes during the regular season when there was ample opportunity. Like, instead of just throwing Don Barlow out there, it needed to be. Truth be told, like I watched Mo the entire game, and my biggest take was like Mo Gay needed to be in the rotation in November or December. Like he needed to be getting those gimmick minutes that he got at post trade deadline back then because the backup power forward position for the Hawks had been in trouble, been an issue the entire season. This was not new. So like if to not even try it to me, I feel like was a mistake because they were going with David Roddy or DeAndre Hunter at the four, which
Yeah. I would
you
push back
you
that
was
like
never.
Mo wasn't really ready then. Like the Mo they had then is not the Mo they have now. And he was not ready then, but like he would have been better than David Roddy. Like
But
absolutely.
but
And he
but
could have
I'm
learned on the job.
5 minutes, eight
Yeah.
minutes. Okay, he doesn't have it. Put him on the bench. Who cares? Eventually, he's going to get it. The talent was always there. That's where my frustrations come in. And so like now you're in this point where like, oh, I need Mo Gay, but I haven't relied on him all season until like the last 2 weeks really. And
Oh.
now he's literally my best defender, and we can't get stops if he's not in the game. But I'm kind of I can't just. It's not fair to him if I'm like, all right, Mo, you gotta play 40 minutes tonight. Like that's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
So to me, I just think, and there are offensive issues as well. But like in the playoffs, the reality is like you got to be a certain level athlete. Like you have to be a certain level athlete or a certain level of like shot maker to earn and to play consistent minutes on in a playoff environment. And like the runs in the game happened when Veet came in and when Barlow came in, and it's like Veet just looked like he didn't belong physically, and Barlow just didn't know what he was doing at the center position. And you can't have that in a must-win game.
All right, Glenn. What did you think of the game?
I mean, it felt like it had the same themes of the last few times that these teams have played. Hawks struggle with the length and all that sort of stuff, and um, I honestly don't spend too much time on like where the rotation's bad. Like what are what's the solution? What's and things like that. I'm not here to say that someone else can't be critical or have critical things to say. Um, but for me, it's like it's such everything to kind of build on what Tyler was saying. Everything kind of cascades from how um the construction at the four is. Everything flows from there, right? Because ideally, you have Karras playing kind of a guard position on offense, not trying to attack threes and fours. Like you want his physicality to be an edge against guards, right? But
Yes.
everybody is sliding out. Like Man's playing freaking power forward sometimes, like the last
Yep.
3 weeks of the season, right? That's not gonna work. And then you're sliding Karras to a position where offensively he's less optimal, right? You want him, attacking guards. And so it all kind of just flows from you lost. I mean, on one hand, you say you lost Capella and Nance, and then obviously Jalen injury hurts you. And there are people on, reaching out to me on Twitter or X and saying like, could there have been a solution on the 10-day contract? And I mean, on one hand, it's hard to get someone on a 10-day contract and get them up to speed unless they're a real veteran, like a veteran who's really been playing a long time. And then, but I mean, I do honestly think that that Tony Bradley would have helped this team. You
Yeah,
know,
just tough.
that I think if I know that might sound ridiculous to some people, but I think that was a big miss, right? If Tony Bradley plays 12 minutes in this game last night, the Hawks have I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and say that they win the game, but they have a professional, experienced guy who knows what the heck he's doing in those minutes. And I feel like if I go back to I don't want these kind of wild swings. I don't want guys to have their minutes taken away. This we know this season was about balancing development and trying to win at the same time. But that felt like the day he was in your organization, and so that feels like the big miss to me. And in my mind, it's unfair. It's been unfair to Dom,
Yep.
right?
That's right. Oh
You know,
yeah. No,
you know,
absolutely.
so to me, that's the miss that if I want to be critical of something that was right in front of the face, that's the one that jumps out at me as one that could have been something that mattered. Now, you want to say if they had predicted this injury or that injury or what have you, but he was in the organization when those injuries happened. So
Yeah, it's you know, accepting David Roddy's minutes for whenever he was on the roster, like it's not so much any one player. It's like I'm putting these three players out there together, and it's like you can't put all three. You can't put Veet, Barlow, Niang. Like it's just not this. You just can't like, and it's not so much that Bradley is better than Barlow or has a better future or is better now. It's just like if I'm going to play Niang, who do I want at center? I want somebody who can get a
Exactly.
defensive rebound. I want Bradley next to Niang. I don't want Barlow next to Niang. You compare Barlow with Bradley, like that's a completely separate calculation, but like you've got to fit pieces together that go together. And I just don't feel like that they've done that. Like it just feels like and it's, again, the total caveat that injuries happened and totally chipped away at the depth. But yeah, with something like Bradley, like he's a lot like Gay. Like he's this finished product at the end of the season. I think it took him a long time to ramp up to where he was ready for that. G League was great. He got to that point, but like, yeah, they let him slip away.
and I don't want to make a justification, but another part of drawing guys into your say your G League team, like Miami has done for a long time, right? If guys come to your G League team and they do everything that you ask them to do, and they never are presented with a path to the big league team, right? You're gonna have a hard time getting people to buy into like there's a real opportunity with this organization. Now does that trump, you know, big, Plowden getting a contract or or whatever, or whatever, but I do think that in order for them to like one of the reasons Keaton came was that they made a commitment to him to that he had a path if he did the things they asked him to do. I still think that they could have made an exception with Bradley, you know,
Yeah.
in that
What
case because so but the guys who play well in the G League, when roster spot comes open on the NBA team, I mean it's hard to get guys to kind of buy in if they're not given that opportunity to kind of step up into that spot. I'm not saying that was the right thing to do
Right.
in this case. That's just more of a macro factor that I think maybe we underappreciate that organizations have to account for that in some amount.
I mean,
when
oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, as far as like the G League season, like they were like 16 and 16 in whatever that second portion of the season they've got their labels for it. And it's like, okay, well, that was just kind of so-so, but like every player that had a reasonable chance to use it as a springboard did. And so that was a very successful team. In fact, they were kind of a victim of their own success, losing Bradley, promoting Plowden, and promoting Barlow, Gay eventually being on an NBA contract, but going and, making the most of it and really becoming an NBA player. Like everybody that needed a springboard got it. Kevon Harris, got his 10-day contract and got some money out of that and got, as far as like guys taking that next step, I think that's going to reflect very well on the program when they try to recruit in future years. The only guy that didn't really get that opportunity was Jurisic, and so that's like the TBD. But everybody else, you know, sort of maximized their chance and made a good portfolio for themselves. So I think that reflects well on the program.
Agreed.
I and um, I just think ultimately the Hawks chose Barlow over Bradley, even though I don't think they had to do that. But I think they did that because they wanted to sign Jacob Toppin, which might end up looking pretty good because they need another power forward somewhere. So and he looked, his last game he actually looked pretty good, but he's been hurt, and I think he's hurt again. So that's why he didn't play. But I think that was the rationale. Was like we like Barlow's future more than Bradley, and we expect that
Oh, sure.
we're going to shore up the center position in the offseason, which it might include Tony Brett. Like there's nothing to say the Hawks won't, offer him a training camp deal or maybe even a non-guaranteed contract because I thought he actually played pretty well for the Pacers in the short stint.
Yeah.
But like
Yep.
getting back to the game, Glenn, I'm glad you made the point about Karras playing the guard position instead of the forward position because I think that's what I was talking about this on Blue Sky during the game. I was like, at a certain point, I basically just said like Quinn has to decide it's either Dyson or Karras. It can't be both because both of them in the game is killing the offense, and they're just too small on defense right now. And like Quinn didn't want to commit to Ricochet playing more minutes, even though I thought defensively he was one of their better options just due to his size. And on offense, he was one of the few guys willing to take a contested three. Everybody else was just like,
Choking him
oh,
off.
I'm just I'm gonna up fake and drive into a crowded paint and not get anything out of it. So I thought Ricochet should have played a little bit more, but the Karras, I'm glad you brought up the Karras Dyson point because Karras asking Karras to play the three just like it really does neuter his physical advantages because he's not that big as a forward. If he's playing guard, he can overwhelm and Dyson as well. Like their advantages were kind of neutered a little bit, even though combined with the Magic don't play that many guard size players anyway. Um, so it was just like the Hawks are in a tough spot with how their roster is set up. They just have too many guards. They don't have enough forwards. This is all old hat. Um, but like, I do think in the minutia, I thought Quinn kind of sold his team short a little bit in some decisions that he had made during the game. But ultimately, like it, the bigger issue was the offense and the inability to generate anything good if Trey wasn't just going nuclear. And so like that's something the Hawks are going to have to look at in the offseason. Whatever they do in this next playing game or in the playoffs, like they have to find a real option like that can like Karras for as solid as he is, he's not. They need like somebody who defense have to put on who defense have to adjust how they defend the Hawks based on his impact on the floor on the offensive end. So we'll see what they do with that.
I still hate the trade deadline. Like
Not
you
strong
can't.
disagree.
What's that?
Strong disagree.
Oh,
DeAndre
I
Hunter is
no, I still dislike like I get you have to I still like the jury's out like it's still it's gonna come down to what they do this summer. They did not get better at the trade deadline. Like
strong disagree.
mm.
They got a lot better.
No, they got smaller. They got
DeAndre Hunter was not. They were smaller when Jalen got hurt. DeAndre Hunter was not helping them in that regard. Like he
yeah,
just wasn't.
I completely disagree.
I mean,
That
he's
you're doing things like playing man at positions that he's too small to play. It's all just
DeAndre Hunter's incapable of doing things you need from a forward. Like And like the Cavaliers,
I mean, you just said that one of the biggest problems that the Hawks had was they were choking off their
yes,
threes. Hunter will
yep,
get up your three. He's big enough to get a three off, even against a team like the Magic. And you've got these small guys. They were just choking off their attempts from three. It's like you still have to make the trade. Like, okay, I get
Kevin,
why you have to get
Kevin,
off Hunter because you're gonna
he
have to sign Dyson Daniels, and so the money's
does
got to work out.
does
But like,
Dyson Daniels make the leaps that he's made offensively if DeAndre Hunter is in the game? Or like Dyson and Ricochet both were a lot better when more opportunities were
yeah, because
presented
they
to
were
them
because
over
the
DeAndre Hunter.
because Okongwu got
I
elevated at the same time. You can't separate those two. That was more of an Okongwu thing than getting rid of Hunter.
But a Kongu's like DeAndre Hunter's not the type of player to play off of an Onyeka Kongu. Like that's not his game. And I don't know. Like I think I mean again, Hunter was good for and they were able to get off his contract, but like I'm not that Karras was better throughout the season. Like for what the Hawks needed, which was more ball creation. Like I, to me, I'm like on some levels, yes, they could have used Hunter just because, but that would just mean Ricochet's playing less. And like to me, I'm like they got to throw Ricochet
I
out
mean,
there to the fire
I'm
then.
not just not just the
But
one deal too. They traded Bogey for Man too. Like that's
man was Bogey. It's not like he's been good for the Clippers either.
yeah.
Uh,
It's not like Man's been
I
good.
mean, so the
man,
Hunter
man,
for me,
you we could talk about man. Man was making up 3 pointers. Like I look Bogey was shooting like sub 30% from three. Like it was really bad. Like it was Bogey's not an NBA player levels of bad for the Hawks. He's been better for the Clippers, but like not that much better that he's playing. Like they're the Clippers have
well,
gone completely defense first.
well,
And
the Hawks want their guards and their wings in motion, brush screen, moving. That's not really what Bogey can physically do anymore. Bogey sits in the weak side corner. Bogey spots up while Harden's doing his thing, right? And
Yeah,
so
yep,
the
sure.
kind of offense they run is more suited for where Bogey is physically. For me, going and man, for me, I still say anyone who think the Hawks thought he was going to snap right into their offense. No, I don't think that was an expectation. I think they knew this was a big change, and I do think there's a big TBD as to whether he can get to even a 0.5 kind of executor next year or not. That's an important thing for him to
It's a
adapt
big
to.
question, and he's got a lot of money left. Like
Yeah,
Bogey's deal's going to
yeah,
expire sooner.
yeah.
they can
But
get off man. Like look, man was shooting. Man had a 60+% true shooting percentage for the Hawks. Like
Yeah,
I
I know.
understand.
And
I
he was
understand
still
he made
terrible. Like he was a
better than
net
Bogey.
negative on the
He was,
court, and
but he
even that
was,
was while he was shooting on
but
fire. Like,
Kevin,
what's it going to
he
be
was
when he cools
Kevin.
off?
He was a lot better than Bogey though, and like this is an indisputable fact on the
yeah.
season. Like
The
it's not
other
even
thing I want to
close.
do is I'll circulate it. Two man
They needed
lineup.
depth. They needed
Two,
depth. Like at the end
two
of the
man.
day for the regular season to get through
I
that
want to get back to
season and
Hunter for
make
a
it
second.
win.
Two man lineups. When you look at man with Trey, man with Dyson, man, it's like his the net rating is better than the Hawks overall net rating. His net rating when he played with starters was totally fine,
Yeah,
totally fine. Now that doesn't erase the fact that he still broke the offense at times, and struggled to kind of snap into the things
And a
that they
lot.
do. Right. Right. So that's the both things can be true, but in my view, I think one of the reasons they value him is he's a pro. He works hard. No
Yep.
drama, right?
Yep.
And,
Yep.
and even when you ask him to go, they asked him to go guard Giannis, and he went out there and he took on the challenge and he went to work and he did what he could do. And
Yep.
the Hawks value players that will put their head down and go to work and take the assignment that they're asked to take. Does that mean that like fast forward to October, like and he's going to be like doing everything on offense? We don't know. I think it's fair to say we have to wait and see. But the Hunter thing, I mean, it's kind of like everything is context dependent. Hunter was killing it. And what happened? Jalen got hurt, and all of a sudden Hunter was being defended by Anthony Davis,
yep,
defended by fours. And so his ability to function the same way was obliterated when Jalen went down. Right. And so he was the guy that was getting slotted up a position and put into a suboptimal spot there. So, for me, it's like with Jalen gone, I don't think I think it's unreal. You guys know I've been on Twitter for 4 freaking years defending DeAndre Hunter every day. I mean, that's been my secondary job sometimes. It felt like, but as soon as Jalen was gone, I mean, Hunter, you know, he became more decisive. He got closer to being a 0.5 guy. He carried the second unit offense for a while, but when Jalen was gone, his job on the Hawks got way harder as soon as Jalen was gone. And I just think there was really not a path to him kind of being that same guy post the Jalen injury.
And more importantly, Quinn Snyder was never going to play Mo Gay if DeAndre Hunter was on the roster. Like I, they're like, and that might be a conversation that Quinn needs to have with front office on why Mo never got a chance at the power forward position. But he was not going to try DeAndre Hunter at the four. I mean, he was not going to try Mo Gay in the rotation if DeAndre Hunter was there. He was just going to slot Hunter at the four, Ricochet at the three, and keep going as if everything is fine. And the Hawks were going to not make the play in. Like they were going to be, or they would either be the 10th seed or even worse because, like, they were on an 8-game losing streak and it didn't look like they had any hope of getting out of the hole they were put themselves in. I understand, they lost the playing game and like they might not make the playoffs, but they gave themselves a chance with the moves they made while also setting themselves up for the offseason, which is more important because like now they have room to operate, they have options to go after and acquire a good, either acquire an elite talent or to build depth so that they're not in this situation again next year where one injury just completely ravages what they can do on both sides of the floor and they have to scramble to figure it out. Like I think the Hawks punted on the season clearly when Jalen got hurt, but they tried to mitigate it by getting depth pieces so that Quinn could at least have some options. Because Kevin, like when you're saying like man hasn't been good, I agree with you. Man hasn't been good. He's still better than what Bogey was. He's still better than Garrison Matthews, and those two guys were killing the Hawks, killing them. And so like that's why they make those trades. They got Karis LeVert, who I mean, he wasn't good in the Magic game, but he was doing what they needed him to do, which is self-create. He wasn't converting. And again, we talked about he was playing the wrong like the matchup advantage wasn't there. It was a bad like to me, it's a bad matchup for him. They're a big team up and down the lineup. Karras needs to either attack slower, less athletic players or smaller players. If it's like size players, like he's kind of dead in the water a little bit without some help from Trey. So like I and Yang like they need Yang shooting. Like at the end of the day, Quinn's got to be better at how he uses Niang, but like I mean, Yang propelled the Hawks to giving them a chance to do something, to make it to be the eighth seed. Like they were not going to get there.
How
If they
how how is that better than having Hunter? Like how is having Niang
DeAndre
out there for
DeAndre
shooting better than having Hunter
DeAndre
out there for shooting?
Kevin DeAndre Hunter is not the type of shooter that George Niang is.
I mean, okay,
He's
if you
not.
focus on that very one
But
skill
it's
set,
important. But it's the most important thing they needed from Hunter. Like this is not to say Hunter's not a good or bad player. Like this is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about his function on the team. What Hunter provided wasn't that valuable. They replaced Hunter with Zachary Ricochet. Zachary Ricochet literally took Hunter's spot on the offensive side of the floor and did the same things that Hunter was doing at like the same level. Like
sure.
they replaced his production fairly easily on the offensive end because DeAndre Hunter was they had to manufacture again. DeAndre Hunter was the type of player that you have to manufacture looks and touches for in order to get open. Niang is somebody who can play more random with Trey, and they got a great rapport together, and they ran off some wins with that lineup. Now teams have adjusted. They don't give they've taken a lot of the easy stuff that Niang was doing on offense while also attacking him on defense. So it's been bad, but like again, they needed to get here. They were not going to get there with Hunter at the four. Like Trey Hunter pick and pops like that they were only going so far. Like Niang's just such a better shooter than Hunter. No shade. I'm not trying to shade DeAndre Hunter here, but like this is it's not a fair comparison. And again, you traded one player to get two in Niang and Levert. Like that was the value of the trade. You got two rotation players when you needed to fill out the rest of your bench. Like because they were again they were throwing out Garrison Matthews and Keaton Wallace and like guys who aren't at the level that you need if you're trying to make a playoff.
Yeah,
The other value of the trade is that Karis LeVert is on an expiring contract. They have his bird rights. They want to bring him back, and I hope they do. But they have the option to do so or not. When we get to the summer, Niang will be on an expiring contract, 8 million and change. That's not that hard to move. Teams want shooters, right? And so the Hawks know for sure they need another high level offensive player. And if they can find that and say, sorry, Karras, like we're gonna go, get this better offensive player than you. Clint's expiring, Niang is movable, Levert, they have the bird rights, can bring him back or not. They have shifted into some Travis's old favorite word, flexibility, that if something becomes available that will fit next to Trey offensively and just take a lot of pressure off of Trey, with Bogey on the books and Hunter on the books, that was way harder. That was way harder to conceive of. And so I don't know who that player might be. But weird things happen in the NBA. Teams that flame out in the playoffs, start to kind of players start wanting to pull themselves away from that situation. So you just have to be ready to be opportunistic, and they are stepping into a summer where they have more flexibility than they've had in a long, long time.
Yeah, I agree that the flexibility is still there, but again, it's just the contracts are like the inverse of what you would want. Like you can get Levert, but he's the one who's a free agent. He's the one that you want the most, and you're gonna have to commit to keep him. Niang, I'm sure you can get
Levert's
off
not going to
that
cost
deal,
that
but
much.
what's that?
Look, Karis LeVert's not going to cost that much money. There's not. He's like you can sign him to a team friendly contract that's readily tradable at the deadline. That's not again. You have the option. DeAndre Hunter, you literally didn't have any option. You were committed to 18 plus. No, I'm sorry, it was like 20 plus million a season to again a player that you drafted his replacement with the number one overall pick. Like they they, they found the opportunity to get off of Hunter's money, and I still believe they made their team better, like flat out, because um, like DeAndre Hunter just without Jalen just propping him up, at, because you have to. The, the issue right now is that they don't have a power forward that teams have to respect on the offensive side of the floor. Like with Niang, you can guard him with smaller players. With Mo Gay, it's for as I think he's getting a lot better. He's a non-shooter. He's better at the center position offensively, and that's just the reality. When he's playing power forward, he's it's kind of murky. When it was Jalen Johnson could do the point five stuff, but be able to dunk on somebody's head if you're not careful. Like you know, and you have to play Jalen with a bigger like size player, or he's just going to go right through them. That's what they're missing, right? So like they couldn't find a one for one replacement. I think they tried, like they were trying to trade for Kevin Durant. I mean, I don't know how close they got, but they were looking for that type of player, that bigger size forward to play at the power forward position who has to be guarded by bigger size players, so that Trey Young isn't being guarded by teams bigger size players, because that's killing them. Like teams being able to put their biggest wing on Trey Young is such a, and the Hawks not being able to take advantage on the other side of the floor is such a killer for the Hawks right now.
Yeah. I just I'm not going to agree with it. I'm sorry.
I mean, that's fine, but
Like
like Hunt,
if we
Hunt
just
has
talk about
hold on.
Niang with like Niang is unplayable. Like he's like
Hunt,
he
no,
gives
no, no.
so much back. Like
Niang is playable, but like the coach, like Quinn has to recognize when he
yeah,
can and can't play him. Like
right. He should
he
be
got
out
to
there
be.
with Mo Gay. Like he shouldn't be out there with
No, he
but
could be out there with a Kongu. It just
Okay,
he
but he
can't
shouldn't be
also
out
be
there
out
with
there.
Bar.
That's on Quinn for playing Barlow. Like
I guess it's still,
that's a sec that is a inexcusable issue that Quinn has with Barlow right now. Him playing him at center without Mo Gay, that is inexcusable. Like full stop. I'm not gonna put that on Niang. When Niang's not playing with Barlow, he's been good. Like he just has been. So I'm not gonna go revisionist history because of one game against a bad matchup. A Magic. Like they were Niang helped this team be better. Like full stop. Like that's
nah,
just
no,
all right.
nope, not more than Hunter.
We are ending an episode in disagreement for maybe the first time in the history of this show. So, listeners enjoy this lingering, unresolved. Like, are Kevin and Tyler still friends? Do they still like each other?
Of course,
You know,
I just I'm not
I can.
convinced. Like, and I just I don't think the contract flexibility is very important, and that's the only reason you do
And I
it.
think
But the
that
They
might
were
on-court
hurt.
they were
product is I don't buy it. Like I buy that it helped for like 3 weeks when like things were
they
really dire in the middle, but
Kevin, they were on an 8 game losing streak with
yeah, they
Hunter.
were
They were terrible.
sure.
And then they became like a 500 team. They were a plus 500 team
Yeah, the dead
with
cat
Hunter.
bounce.
All right,
They,
we're
they,
forgetting how bad it got. We're legitimately forgetting how bad it got with Hunter at the 4. That is again. All right. I mean, that's fine.
all right. Well, say goodnight, Bob.
Good night,
Good night,
Bob.
Bob.